All right, good morning, everybody. Hope you're all having yourselves a fantastic start to the day here. Happy Thursday. Doesn't feel like a Thursday to me. It feels like it's been I don't know, maybe it feels like a Monday. I don't know what that means. But yeah, hope you're all having yourselves a great day. It's been a very interesting trading week here so far. We've had some nice days of follow through. We've had some challenging days like yesterday, right, where we were only able to get, a point, 2 points, right, kind of small baby moves. And then we kind of had some price action here in the middle. And when we look at sort of the weekly range here, right, that has been established so far, kind of makes a little bit of sense, right? Not a tremendous amount of volume, not a tremendous amount of range. Now, a little bit more than what we saw there last week, but not by any significant margin. So to a certain extent, right, markets are still very much telling us that we are in consolidation, right? Potentially now breaking out of that consolidation. And we're going to look for a resolution, right, to hopefully step up, show up, and give us some nice follow through here to keep kind of building and compounding on what has been a fantastic base hits week, right? Every day's been green. I think 9 green trading days in a row. So from that end, we are seeing things here relatively well, obsessing over the quality of our process, not optimizing for P&L, right? Not trying to force P&L on a day-to-day basis, and instead, right, thinking about our position sizing, thinking about our risk management, thinking about how do we want to see trades behave way before we ever enter them, so that when we do get that price action intraday, those reactions are binary. And we've done a very good job of that here so far this week, right? We've protected ourselves from winning trades turning into losing trades. We've allowed some winning trades, right, to turn into even bigger wins. And hopefully, right, we can continue to build off of that momentum and keep stacking things up here and finish off the week with a bang. So really excited, right, to see how the market wants to reward us here today for that emphasis on our process. And just as a reminder, right, important for us to not judge ourselves on the P&L, right? Our P&L is a lagging indicator of basically the quality of our decisions. So the more that we focus and optimize and force ourselves to put a tremendous amount of emphasis on those elements, the better things are going to go for us here today, tomorrow, right, next week, next month, even for the rest of the year. I think I saw something where there's like 70 days left, right, before 2025 starts. Sounds weird to say that, but 70 days is enough for you to create an entirely new trajectory inside your trading, inside your career, right, inside whatever you are looking to sort of create for yourself. So honestly, New Year's goals are overrated. I think, right? It's not like we're just going to automatically start changing things for ourselves on January 1st and, see XYZ, right, start to happen. So for me, it is this emphasis and obsession and focus, right, on the quality of our process that will ultimately then be the fuel to our fire for when you have that motivation for when the new year starts. So the challenge I want to put to everyone here today is to stop making things personal, right? Stop making price action feel personal. Stop making feedback feel personal. Stop making the market feel personal, right? Because I promise you it is not. The market does not care, right? It does not care about your feelings. It never has. It never will. So stop giving it that sort of power over you and start taking a level of accountability. I've said this many times, right? But hold yourself to a standard that would make most people uncomfortable, right? When we start to expect great things out of ourselves, when we start to expect us to behave like disciplined, structured, and motivated traders, then we ultimately end up finding the success that we're craving. And so today, it's all about continuing to compound on those positive decisions, right? Trusting the process, trusting our technique, believing in ourselves, and believing that if we behave with control, we remain disciplined, we remain structured, we remain pliable, then the market will reward us. That's sort of how this game is designed. It is unfortunately, a harsh reality that the market is really good at highlighting what our biggest flaws are. So if you're greedy, the market's always going to make you feel as if you need more money. If you're fearful, it's always going to feel as if there's not enough setups. If you're a gambler, right, it's always going to make you feel as if you have another shot to make your millions or whatever it is. And so we need to fight back against those emotions, right? Take the feedback that the market gives us and fix those flaws, and then slowly start to overcome, right, our barriers so that we can become the traders that we all can be. So that for me is the challenge here today, right? Don't bring any baggage from the win streak into today's session. Don't bring any baggage from yesterday's choppy day and feel like, oh my gosh, I should have been owed a $5,000 win. Just none of that kind of garbage, right? So we start every day off by grounding ourselves in our expectations and understanding that the market does not owe us a win. It does not owe us a loss. It only owes us the opportunity to sit, watch, and play the game. And that is ultimately what I am extremely grateful to be able to do on a day-to-day basis. And it is that grounding in gratitude that keeps us present, that keeps us focused, and sets us up to create the success that we're looking for here daily. So with that being said, let's start mapping things out here, figure out what we want to do here this morning, and let's put ourselves in a situation where we can be proud of how we traded. And then, you know, if we're proud, we stack up enough of those good positive decisions, the P&L will be what the P&L is. So good morning, Suresh, Vitali, Candace, Zendaya, Daniel, Devin, Ruben, Raim, Cordell, John, Mike, John, Jeff, Jeremy, Gabe, Steven, Salstein, Nate, Breezy, Craig, Bugs, Don, Mike, Samuel, Tanja, Brett, SG, Ben, Sammy, and Michael. Hope you're all having yourselves a fantastic start to the AM here and are ready for what should hopefully be an awesome trading day. Good morning, Fernando. Good morning, Brian. So first things first, what's the count here on ES? Let's start mapping that out. We got some Fed speak here today. We got data at 9:45 and data at 10 a.m. So probably a slightly slower, right, opening session here, right? First 30 minutes. We have data, 15 minutes in, then we got 15 minutes after that, right? A new batch. So we might be a little bit patient here, but anticipate the market to probably be waiting essentially for those barriers to drop. And then from there, right, we can look to break down, right, or break out, right, and kind of go from there. So yeah, 2 out of 3 here to the downside with volume. I'm not sure if I would give it the weak moniker here this morning, right? Although there is a bit of a bottom wick there off of that 5,800, the body of the candle is larger than the wick of the candle, and we still closed under that 850 area, right? So that was sort of the starting point. We wanted to see price action break down through, and we didn't really see bulls be able to recover above that zone. Now, pre-market, we're back up above there here today, but I wouldn't necessarily discredit the bullish strength. Good morning, Luke. The bearish strength that was established there yesterday. So it is a 2 out of 3 here to the downside with volume. So trending price action here, or mostly trending price action here to the downside, and we're looking for a continuation of that narrative. That being said, right, kind of I think what Jack is touching on here to a certain extent with that weakness is we saw price action bounce off of 5,800, right? That ended up acting as an area of support here today or yesterday. And so if we see dip buyers step in off of that area there again, it certainly wouldn't be unexpected to see a reversal show up off of that area. So we can start our session, I guess, right, with that. Okay, we'll play maybe a fake out there off of that range. Otherwise, right, not very appealing. And then you can kind of go back up towards, was that 5,900, right? So that would be fine. And then we would need bigger volume, bigger bullish volume than yesterday. Good morning, CB. Right, and then to the downside here, basically be a rejection off of the trend line. So off of like 5880. and then a breakdown, right, towards pre-market lows, which is like 58.40, and then beyond, right, down towards like 5800. So I already have that mostly mapped out. So let's see if it can break through that sort of support shelf, and then you know, maybe give us some nice trending PA. All right, NQ, what's the count here? How do we feel about price action? Similar, not so similar. How do we feel? Yeah, very similar story, right? Probably a little bit of a stronger candle shape, right? Slightly smaller bottom wick. But again, pretty decent sized gap up. What could be, I guess, contributing, right, to this bullish momentum here at market open here today? Yeah, Tesla earnings. Last I checked, it was like up 11%. So if we said that the market was waiting, right, for that to potentially establish itself, right, we now have that out of the way. Those earnings have been relatively positive. Maybe that ends up giving us a slightly bearish tilt, right, based on, yeah, market momentum here this morning. Good morning, Howell. How you doing? So again, a little bounce here off of 2100. And then we can kind of push it up, okay, 24. And then we have it mapped out fine. To the downside here, right, we're looking for basically another rejection at that trend line. So that's approximately 25. And then we're targeting a move towards, so pre-market low, so 20, I'll call it 2300, that's fine. And then we have it like 21. So cool. I don't see anything that we need to change here too aggressively. All right, crude. What's the count here? Not quite a 3 for 3, right? Yesterday was an inside bar. So full day of consolidation, right? Yeah, spot on, Rain. So inside bar there. And we're getting a little bit of a failed inside bar breakout here pre-market, right? So a failed move above 72. That could ultimately be a little bit of a catalyst here for continuation here lower. But still, you know, high vol breakout, right? Above that trend line, day of consolidation. So I would say still to a certain extent, right, this is like bullish momentum, right? And we'd like to see a pretty impressive volume standard for us to get a nice level of continuation. Hey, Constantine, how you doing? So dip buy off of the trend, it makes sense, right? So we'll say off of like 70 bucks. Or, right, breakout back up above towards 72 and then 72.50. So that's not really changing here too much. What we're going to say here, though, right, is basically ORB fake out to around 72, which already happened. Has space for continuation down towards 70. Right, and then like 69.50, 69, nice, right? And then that sort of bottom shelf there is like 68 bucks. So certainly makes a little bit of sense. Just kind of stop it there. All right, Apple, what's the count here? Oh, and one thing, right? If we're opening up in the implied middle of yesterday's ranges, how is that, like if we're having expectations of what today is potentially going to be, what's the biggest fear? Yeah, right. It's stuck in consolidation, right? It's got a lot of work to do, go technically trending, right, in either direction. So I want to just be a little bit careful, right, that the market doesn't want to chop us out and spit us out here today, and make sure that we're seeing a consistent and aggressive volume narrative for us to be able to get some nice follow through. Yeah, so spot on here, guys. 3 for 3 here to the downside on Apple. But again, opening up in the middle, so it's setting up as an inside bar day here. And we need to see a breakdown here under 227.75, right? Or a retest and rejection of the trend line and then break down. So, say trend line retest, right? Or a breakdown under 227.75. All right, Tesla. So psycho, right? Gapping up over its gap. So okay, very, very interesting earnings, right? Not a top and bottom line beat, just a top line beat. But from what I saw, right, the guidance was pretty impressive, and the earnings call, right, seemed to have been taken on very positively here this morning. Historically, this sets up as like a textbook Bollinger Band reversal setup, right? A massive gap up, and then tends to get stuck in recent history, right? That's generally the narrative that you see, right? So big gap in either direction, kind of gets sticky for a couple days. You know, big gap. Okay, you had a sell off there last earnings, previous earnings, right? Big gap, and then doji. Prior to that, big gap down, right? And then kind of a sell off. So generally, right, what we're scared of to a certain extent is making sure that the move hasn't happened overnight. So let's just be a little bit cautious here, but we'll say big post earnings gap up. And then this is 2 out of 3 here to the downside with volume, but we're way above that range. So yesterday's candle, right, and standard, not really something we're going to put too much stock into. We're going to say a 244 breakout or failed gap fill. And go, right? And then to the downside, basically just a textbook like Bollinger Band reversal, BB reversal, gap fill. All right, Microsoft, higher high, higher low, decreasing volume, gap up. So 1 for 3 here, day of consolidation there yesterday. And so we're still going to be looking for a dip buy off of like 420, right? Or a breakout above the upper end of the range. So essentially 431. So not too much changing from that perspective. Limited reasons for me to be bearish here, truth be told, right? We've got a trend line breakout here to the upside. So I don't see anything from yesterday's price action that indicates a personality change here. So going to continue to be bearish NA. All right, Amazon. Increasing volume, pretty strong looking candle shape, gapping up in its a bottom third, we'll call it. So it's a 2 out of 3 here to the downside with volume. So NA here for a bull case. All right, at least in the short term. And a bear case, right? Retest off of the trend line or a breakdown here under 184. Cool. All right, AMD, weak red candle, decreasing volume, pretty decent sized gap up. So 1 out of 3, we call it a weak 1 out of 3 here. And this is now the third, maybe fourth, arguably failed breakdown here. right? Last couple days. So I'd like to see probably a failed gap fill breakdown, right? So fail or gap fill and go, or a breakout over 156. And then to the downside here, basically be like a Bollinger Band reversal to fill that gap. Okay, NVIDIA. Red candle, increasing volume, right? Bouncing off that trend line again. So now 3 points of contact on that trend line and gapping up. So again, we'll call this a 2 out of 3 here to the downside with volume, trend line bounce. So if we're going to get trend line continuation, right, we'd like to see a breakout above 142.50. And then if that trend line is going to break down, that's going to be our sign, right, of bearish momentum. So that would be a 137.50 breakdown. All right, Meta. So a bit of a trend line rejection there yesterday, right? Full body bearish candle, probably the strongest candle shape we've seen here this morning. So no bull case here, right? Not up until either invalidate yesterday's candle or yesterday's volume. Yeah, I'll take a look at that in a second here, Oz. So rejection off of like 569, right? Or a breakdown. So 569 rejection, the previous lows of this range. Right, so 569 rejection. Or a breakdown under 562.50. Okay. Netflix, red candle, increasing volume, but not outlier, or maybe outlier, but still, right? Very challenging and scary for me to sell into that range, right? I'm not interested in selling into Friday's candle here still. So we need to get under 736. Let's call it set 737 breakdown. Right, and then I think we're still looking for a possible 750 dip buy pretty much, right? We're hanging out right at that area this morning. Cool. All right, Google. So possibly a little bit of a trend line breakdown. Maybe the least convincing of the ones that we've seen here so far today, right? And then we're looking for either a rejection, right, off of 163.50 or a breakdown here under 162. And with the general enthusiasm of yesterday's bearish momentum, what could that possibly be viewed as? So if it's not trend continuation, if say the market's like, oh, okay, Tesla had really good earnings, maybe we can now anticipate a strong earnings narrative for the remainder of the quarter, right? So good Q3 earnings. What would yesterday's general theme then be? So if it's a big sell-off going into a market event, what would that possibly be? Yeah, it could possibly be what I'm trying to go for, right? It could possibly be capitulation, where yesterday was bears basically just closing all of their positions, right, prior to their uh, basically the new catalyst coming out. So potential capitulation setups here, right? And we'll see if that ends up giving us some oomph, right? And that's sort of what VIX is telling us, right? Big rejection there yesterday. We're back down towards that 18 handle. So if this thing continues to drop and that fear disappears from the market, certainly sets us up, right, for that possible capitulation scenario. So we had a request here for American Express Company. Do you mean 278 Oz? 280? Or am I looking at the wrong ticker here? So relatively held up against its earnings okay. Couple fake outs below that area. I mean, this certainly seems to be like your Alamo, right? That 266. But yeah, I mean, your resistance, right? Yeah, definitely is still that 280 barrier. So I would like to see it get up and over that with some conviction for sure. And let's see if it can really drive higher. Short term, I mean, here's kind of like your trend line. So we need to give us a pop up and over through that zone. So 273.50 as your starting point. If you get that on decent volume, you get that outlier volume to return, I reckon you're in pretty good shape. Any other questions here, team? Yeah, so VIX for me is basically just an indication of volatility and fear, right? So if the markets are dumping, you'd anticipate volatility to be increasing and fear to be increasing. So back up above 20 type thing, right? If markets are going to be climbing higher and there's less reasons to be pessimistic about basically market momentum, then you can look for or anticipate the VIX to be dropping in value. All right, guys, so I'm just going to make myself a quick cup of coffee, spend a quick minute here visualizing a successful trading day, and then we'll jump on here and have ourselves a strong session. Be back in a minute, and we'll get after it. right, so let's get after it here this morning, right? And crush today's trading day. And then go from there. So how do we feel about the volume? A little bit bigger than what we saw there yesterday, right? On ES. A little bit bigger than what we... or maybe just smaller than what we saw on NQ on the 3-min. But generally, right, that's probably a more bearish start than a bullish start. Yeah, we'll wait for that 15-min candle to close before we put too much stock or emphasis into it. Okay, we got nat gas storage at 10:30. I'm not sure if that's a huge deal this morning. So let's see how it goes, team. Let's see how it goes. So I got asked this question here overnight. I reckon this is worth explaining or breaking down. Yeah, it's at 10 a.m. So we got PMI, flash services PMI at 9:45, and then more data at 10. So anticipating a slightly slower opening 30 minutes than anything else. But guys, so the opening range, right? The opening range definition is the first candle of the day, right? First candle in the, well, do it by definition, right? First candle at market open. That is historically the most commonly used version of this variant. And the point, right, of it being the opening candle, or why it's valuable that it's the opening candle, is then that gives you a consistent benchmark to work with, right, on a daily basis. If you're defining the opening range as like some random candle in the pre-market or as a different candle each day, you're no longer trading that setup, right? So for myself, I like to have as many consistent variables as possible, and to do the same thing, right, repeatedly over and 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 over again, right? Because what that then generates for me is like benchmarks that I can compare against, right? So if I'm finding the opening range the same way every single day based off of a rigid definition, if that then isn't working, I can find, right, which element is broken. So if my process is different on how I find the opening range each day, and then my position sizing is different, and my volume is different, and all these sort of things, all of a sudden the variables that make you money and cost you money look random in your data set, right? So the objective, right, is to have as many basically consistent parameters so that if something breaks, you can point to what is broken. And if you have a different variable each time, right, or you have a different standard or a different way of defining your setup each time, then all you're doing is hiding the patterns that basically cost you money and hiding the patterns that make you money. So that's why we focus on keeping that definition strict and stringent. That for me is the starting point, right? If then, you know, it consistently ends up showing up that, hey, I don't get an outlier volume standard after market open, okay, that then becomes a consistent variable. I can look to change that, right, and build out from a foundation first. But if it's shaky at the start, shaky at the middle, shaky at the end, then my P&L is always going to be inconsistent. The way that I define the opening range is just at whatever time frame I'm looking at. So if I'm looking at a 1-min setup, then the opening range is the high and low of the first 1-min candle. If I'm looking at a 3-min setup, it's the high and low of the first 3-min candle. If I'm looking at a 5-min setup, it's the high and low of the first 5-min candle, right? Etc., etc. So I don't think that it's just a 5-min opening range. I don't think it's just a 15-min opening range. It's whatever one gives me a signal that matches my daily bias first. I'll use that as my starting point here. For a lot of the old school futures traders, right, those who were trading the pits, things like that, they look at the opening range as a 30-second range, right? And then they're trading on that time frame. So there is no like perfect way here, right? But it is the consistent application of that process that ultimately makes you more successful. Is that understood? No, because I do the same thing every day, right? So my thesis basically is, what's the first time frame that gives me the same setup as my daily bias, right? Because I'm not doing my analysis on the 1 minute time frame. I'm doing my analysis on the daily. So I'm looking for the first short-term signal that matches my daily narrative. So CL possibly giving us a little bit of an opportunity here. Early doors. So stop loss would be 71.29. So we can get a weak pullback into that area. And an entry would have to be under 41. So as is, right, this would be a 3 contract position. Deeper pullback, right, would justify going larger. But we're going to be patient here still. Okay, so watching here carefully. So maybe missed it here. That's all right. We don't have too much time left before that data drops anyway. So not a big deal. See, I don't know if I ever saw the correct reaction either, Sammy. But to be honest, with that data dropping in 3 minutes, not sure how pot committed I was, truth be told. CL1. If you just search up light crude oil futures, it'll also come up. So kind of a deja vu to yesterday's open, right? Decent sized opening candle. And then a breakout, right, happened later in the morning, right, away from that once that trap basically got set in both directions. So 50 seconds to go approximately. Okay, so CL back in business here. Like to see elevator up above 52, right? And then a slow pullback, so that's a good elevator. See if we can see a tick by tick pullback. Be patient, right? Be patient here. No reason to jump the gun yet. We can go slightly bigger sizing, right, than 3 contracts this time. Maybe even go up to like 7, maybe 8. But just be patient. We haven't really seen that elevator sustain here yet. So just be cautious. Okay, so now it's starting to look like a failed breakout, right? Yeah, we already talked about that, Eric. Okay, so now a stop loss of 41. So that would mean sizing down, right? If something does set up, probably 5 contracts, right? We're looking for elevator up here. Still haven't seen elevator up. So ES with the little fake out here. NQ, possible little fake out as well. And so far, so choppy. Oh, excuse me. All right, not a great candle close, right? Doji couldn't hold above 52. So I'm going to wait. We'll have possibly 10 minutes on this NQ setup here. Same thing with ES. How's Tesla looking? Higher. Interesting. VIX at 19, so we are seeing that spike a little bit. This thing can close under 300. We'd be in decent shape. Right, CL, I'm just not trusting here. And then, like we said, we need to see NQ close under 300. Right, we don't want to see it bounce and basically fake out off of that spot. Wouldn't be great. So 9 seconds. Let's see if it's got it. So nope. Close, but no cigar. ES, if we're looking at this from a candle shape, probably not as strong as one would like. So again, I'm being told, hey, be patient. 71.55 rejection. Could it? Should it? Would it? Two rejections here now on crude. Okay, so I'm going to be watching this to the downside. So you'd be looking at two contracts, right? If your stop loss is 71.47. Maybe you could get to 3 if you get a deep pullback here. Again, right? My objective is to keep my max loss to be under 500 bucks. So 2 ways of doing that, right? Wait for deeper pullbacks, size down. If you stack up both of those things together, then you've got a lethal risk management plan. And if I miss it, I miss it. I do not care. It's no reflection of my ability as a trader or a reflection of the probability of actually making money on that position. good volume. Really good volume. Yeah, less of a rejection thesis, though, in general, I would say. But yeah, if this thing can break down through the opening range, then maybe we have a little bit of a better setup trigger there. You'd want to see it break down under low of day like it just did. So now stop loss 71.21. No, I don't like NQ to the downside because it hasn't been able to break down through that 2300. Right? It made a little lower low through that area and then it's now bounced 30 points. Okay, that's a nice elevator. Okay, so once you tick by tick pull back into 71.10. Again, might have just missed this. Looked away for just a fraction of a second. So watching here closely again. Probably not the right enthusiasm on this pullback, right? Just being patient still. I don't need to pull the trigger just for the sake of feeling something, right? Right, and where did it bounce off of? 71 on the dot, right? So maybe we're starting to get fake out higher, fake out lower. So again, possible indication of just chop, right? Can I do this? Maybe. Probably feel very aggressive though, all things considered. Probably too aggressive. So I'm going to wait it out, guys. We got 3 minutes till data. I'm just going to wait it out. Well, you could purchase the Trading View add-on, right? To be able to use my indicator and stuff like that. Or, right, you become a DTR member and you get access to all of these things. Yeah, ish. Still, I think they still look more like consolidation than anything else. We haven't really changed our, like, all things considered, we're, what, 3 points higher on ES since the open. 9 points higher, right, on NQ. So we're just bouncing around here so far. No real indication of trending PA yet by any metric that I look at. Check your emails, DJ. You would have been sent a link to purchase it. Okay, so data has dropped. No real significant reaction here yet. Good volume on NQ here, higher all of a sudden. So we need to break out right above that 3-min opening range, so it's like 75-ish. So looking decent. 2 seconds. Ooh, got close. No cigar on the 3-min. Wait on the 5 now. Oh man, it's cold. Yeah, sorry. And then also watching, right, ES if it wants to give me that ORB breakout too to the upside. It's close on pretty much all the time frames. The same level on both the 3, 5, and 10. So that tells us, right, essentially the consolidation that we've been experiencing here so far this morning. The opening range is the same for so many time frames, right? Not showing us a ton of enthusiasm across the board. VIX now sub 19. Oh my god. Yeah, sorry, VIX now sub 19. It's a big rejection. Again, doesn't look like we're going to get an opportunity here on the 5, so now we reset back to the 10. It's not a rejection, right? Purely and we've not really missed anything here either, right? So being very patient here, team. No reason to be aggressive. And another little bounce off of 71. Again, just on the daily here, if our biggest concern, right, open up middle of the range is a day of chop and get stuck. We haven't seen too much to suggest to the other side, right? We've seen fake outs in both directions on all three of our assets that we trade without really any consistent follow through. So what does that tell me, right? Tells me that it's a probably slower moving market, right? Maybe a bit more akin to what we had there yesterday instead of a market that's going to reward max aggression. So for now, right, all we've done is avoid losing money, which is good, right? My second most profitable position is sitting on hands. And so far, that's what I'm being rewarded doing. maybe have a rejection thesis here. I'll fake out higher. Stop loss as is, too aggressive, right? 40 points would be required. 40 points, right? One contract is like 800 bucks. That is too much. I could trade micros, but ain't about that life. Right, even as is right now, this is 32 points. So again, that's too much, right? $640 worth of risk is too much. So it'd have to be $79.50. So now we're more within the appropriate risk reward pricing. Question is, what's the appropriate play here? Is the appropriate target low of day, right, where we've seen price action get stuck, or should it be this 2R range? That's kind of what I'm thinking about here a little bit. Again, still no elevator up. It's been kind of, elevator down. It's mostly been elevator up, right? Price action is moving higher faster than it's moving lower. Still find that very clunky to say, so I gotta find a better phrase for that. Better. Much better, okay. Okay, so starting to watch here, team. Needs to pull up, right, still a little bit. Again, what I care about here, right, is being able to stay within my max loss number. So 79.50. Nice work, Jeremy. Excuse me. All right, so starting to watch here. right? The deeper pullback I get, the better. The more I'll make when I'm right, the less I'll lose when I'm wrong. All right, guys, so I am in 65.75, 365.75. One contract here, right? It's a good entry. So let's see if this thing can keep flushing. Now it feels less like a good entry. Okay, so we can get breakdown, hold under 350. That would be fantastic. But $300 here to start the day off. Will not complain. So let's see if it's got some juice. I didn't like that. My entry price is making it easy to be green, but I'm not trusting the amount of follow through I'm seeing here so far. Right, the more that it struggles to break down under that 350, the more that I feel like it's not really a tremendous amount of bearish enthusiasm. So let's see, right, it's testing that 350 here again now. Let's see if we can get some tremendous amount of follow through, right, and break down even under that like risk reward entry zone. There's $500, so it's a good start, right? It's a good start. But I just want to be a little bit hyper paranoid, right? Like yesterday, we had a lot of these type-sized moves that then kind of got stuck, right? So I don't want to deal with that again. That's no fun. So let's see. Next candle, right? We ideally like to see this thing close under 22. Let's see if it can do it. Anyone in this with me here? Nice, Rame. Let's go. What was your entry, Cordell? Okay, so see if this thing can break down. Come on. So 55 should have been one contract per account. So you want to keep your max loss to be under $500, right? That's the objective. So it's always about, okay, either buying a pullback that justifies that if I want to go bigger sizing, or sizing down so I can be more aggressive with my entry. In this case, right, because the stop loss need to be pretty aggressive, it was a combination of both. Okay, 46. I don't know if I like this too much. Still closed under 50. Okay, let's see if it can crack here. Again, if I'm trying to define what a perfect reaction is to my entry, this is maybe a little bit slower, right, than one would expect. So it's buying the deep pullback that has made it easy to be green here versus necessarily having a tremendous amount of follow through based on the setup trigger. That's 41. Come on. I mean, 25 points ain't anything to complain about. But the longer it takes, the worse it feels. I'm not a very patient person. So we're fighting here just a little bit. Trying to be as objective as I can be. To try to hold on to this, right? And basically trust my setup here. So let's see if we can flush through this 30 handle here nicely. Got me feeling nicey, right? That's the thing that's going around these days. I don't know if I like that again. No, patient with follow through is what I mean, right? So if I'm correct, I should be correct right away. Right now, I can't determine if I'm correct on my thesis or if I was just correct on my entry timing. So what I mean by being patient here is I'm trying to fight that feeling of saying, okay, hey, my entry was really good. That's making it easy for me to be green. But is that enough for me to basically say that I also have the right setup here, right? So I'm trying to fight through that just a little bit. And that's the patience I'm struggling with. Because all my gut is telling me to close. So I'm trying to buy myself time to get a bit more information and fight against that feeling. Because if I'm saying pre-market, right, fear was that, hey, today's going to be a chop day. No, I'm still in. I will always tell you when I'm out, guys. I will always tell you when I'm out. It will not be opaque if I'm in a position or out of a position. I will always tell you when I'm in and when I'm out. And when I'm out, I will delete my position here, right? So I'm telling you exactly what I'm going through my head and exactly what I'm doing. I will not hide or lie about those executions. That's more work. Okay, it's got to reject here. All right, guys, I'm closing. All right, and I am out at 56 there. Okay, so we can reset this thing up, right, if it wants to come together for us on a different time frame. I didn't quite feel like the reaction one wanted. So again, right, I had a really good entry, which made it easy to be green. But if it gets stuck post-entry, right, and my bias here pre-market was that today is going to be a choppy day, I'm not seeing anything here that really tells me otherwise, right? So maybe I should have listened to my gut. If this thing breaks down here, right, through the opening range, then we can look to reset this thing back up. Without now, this feels a little bit cruel. It's a little bit unlucky. Okay, so maybe play this on this 3-min signal here. Still the same profit target, so not too much is changing. Stop loss would be a little bit higher up, or a little bit lower down, sorry, 333.75. Fake out, high volume confirmation away. It's not perfect, but it's interesting. Maybe go slightly bigger position sizing too. So stop loss 33.75. Again, being very patient here, guys. No need to rush. If I get a deep enough pullback, I should be able to justify buying 2 contracts instead of 1. That's really cruel. Okay, so starting to watch here again. That's an elevator up, not elevator down. Better. Much better. No chasing this, guys. No chasing this, right? Don't fall for the trap. Be patient. If a trade is strong, it'll give you more than one chance to enter. We also have some data dropping here in just a minute. So that should give us an opportunity to get an overreaction entry, right? If that occurs. I'm okay with still targeting that 2R range here, Sammy. I'm fine with that. I'm not getting an entry opportunity here by the looks of it. So now it could be something like this. So stop loss 361. again, right, we're going back to that same situation we had there on that 10-minute time frame, where we have to wait for a deeper pullback here, right, to justify our position sizing. So although you have an appropriate risk-reward ratio above that 319.50, if I'm looking to risk $500 or less, that 319.50 doesn't get me there. Even now, still, right? 333 doesn't get me there. And obviously, the deeper pullback we can get, the easier life is going to feel. Yeah, it was on Nat Gas Deliveries, right? At this point, though, I have no interest in crude. Okay, so far, elevator up, right? No real elevator down. Better. That, like, hit a wall at 350. Okay, so at this 350, right, I could be risking 2 contracts. We still want to see that elevator down. We haven't seen it. We've seen mostly just elevator up. So if that 350 is going to act as an area of resistance, it needs to do so with aggression. So far hasn't happened. So I'm not front running this entry, right? Defined what I need price action to look like, and I will refuse to click the trigger until I see that exact reaction. Okay, now feels less crappy, right, about cutting that trade early. So no complaints here. Again, elevator up, right? Went from 350 to 354 in a second. So although I might have an exceptional risk reward here, I also have a very low probability entry. Again, from 349 to 355, right, in a second. And then slowly pulling back. So I'm not sure if this is giving us that bearish sign anymore. And again, still in the middle of yesterday's range, right? Not broken out above, not really broken out above in any significant way. So it's a little bit of deja vu to what we experienced yesterday. Okay, we read that pretty well. To not rush into an entry. That's a good decision. So, could we play fake out, reversal, breakout to the upside? It's aggressive for sure. Increasing outlier volume, fake out. It could definitely be a play here. 346, say 346 stop loss. Not pulling the trigger here yet, buying myself some time, right? So just flipped my bias, right? To potentially now look for upside scenarios. Doesn't mean I need to be hyper aggressive, right? Until I see a clear indication of bullish momentum. Like Rusty is saying, it's hard for us to want to be very aggressive until we see that breakout. So just because we've seen maybe our bullish scenario not give us as much enthusiasm, sorry, our bearish scenario not give us as much enthusiasm, right, as we would have wanted to maybe pull the trigger, doesn't mean that we immediately need to go to the upside, right? Because like we've talked about here so many times already today, there's a big expectation, right, that today just ends up being a little bit of a chop day. So failed breakout in one direction doesn't necessarily indicate a red to green reversal. So just being patient, right? Buying yourself time to make that decision, not rushing into this. Ultimately, I think it's going to be more profitable long term. Again, yeah, crude, pretty big sell-off here all day long. But yeah, I don't think I've missed out on anything. Again, if I finish the day as is, I will not complain, right? That'll be a successful trading day. 10th green one in a row. I don't need to feel, right, as if I have to get a massive win. I'm not trying to optimize for that. I'm optimizing for the quality of my decisions, not for my P&L. So forcing myself to slow down here, right, and trying to be a rational human being instead of a P&L hungry prick, right, actually puts me in a better position to get the P&L reward that I'm actually looking for. So, okay, if we can break out above this range on some volume, right, maybe show us that 1030 standard, we're going to be in great shape. And if we reject at these highs, right, then we know that our daily range here is essentially going to be not quite the opening range, right? But it's going to be from here to here. So if we see another big rejection, then we know with confidence, right? Sam, you're asking about a breakdown. Should we be worried about 300? Well, now we'll know, right, if we get stuff there again, that we should be sizing our positions for a move towards that 297 low. Again, the setup isn't dead here yet. We still got some time. We don't want to see a failed breakout, right? A failed breakout kills us. Or not kills us, kills the setup. Does that make sense? So today, right, so far, I mean, doesn't mean the market won't give us that expansion, but it was the quality of our pre-market prep that has adequately set expectations, right, over how aggressive or conservative or whatever you want to call it we needed to have been, right? So we pretty correctly identified that, hey, good chance it ends up being a chop day, which means that we aren't surprised when one happens, right? And then if you aren't surprised that, hey, today could be a day of consolidation, today could be a yada, yada, yada day, then you don't get that tunnel vision, right? And like fall in love with your setup. You kind of just trade the price action that's in front of you. And you have that like voice in the back of your head saying like, don't be an idiot, don't be an idiot. You know it's going to be choppy. You know it could be choppy. Is this choppy? Right? And you can start to answer those questions with a little bit more conviction. So it's the quality of the preparation, right, that has ultimately allowed us, okay, not a monster day so far here, right? Last couple days have been pretty chill, but has allowed us to be at least putting ourselves in situations where it's easy to make successful decisions, right? Hey, congratulations, great day. More than what most, or more than what the average American makes at their day job, so congratulations. Let's see if we can get one more here. So again, none of this price action here yet has created a new thesis, hasn't invalidated any potential momentum, hasn't really created any bearish momentum either, as it flushes 50 points. So let's see if we can get some sort of strong indication here. Again, an outlier volume rejection, maybe we could push back up towards those areas. This is a pretty low volume bit of reaction here, so I'm not going to overreact to this yet. ES, if we could break down through the opening range, again, right, could be a little bit of a scenario. But let's look at our two signals here so far, right? Both would have stopped us out, at least on the 5-min. So very limited reasons, right, to want to be hyper aggressive when basically just the short-term evidence we have is of relatively choppy PA. So again, right, base expectations, our markets are going to behave like they always have until proven otherwise. We haven't seen that proven otherwise here yet, right? Like pretty pathetic volume in the 10 o'clock hour. Crude certainly seems to have been the better tradable range here today. But we're pretty close to that, like, a little reversal spot. So that'll be something to keep an eye on for. And then look at NQ. Back to where we started. A little bit, yeah. That's okay, right? We played our system, we played our technique, we made a little bit of money. Not the end of the world. Again, not every day is going to be a monster, right? You need a little bit of cooperation from the market. I don't think we would have ever really gotten there. So even if we top ticked and bottom ticked, we're still not even making more than 2K. So this idea, right, that there were huge gains in the market today, at least, right, probably a little bit of a misrepresentation. Okay, there's a bit of a high volume rejection there. Have to go pretty tight risk, though. Might have to be something like that. So stop loss 347, we'll call it. We're looking for elevator down, retest of 335.25. Too fast, far too fast. Let it pull back slowly, right? I don't want to be buying on a roller coaster pullback. I want to be buying on like the merry-go-round. Right? Buying a roller coaster pullback, surefire way to get sick. Kind of what that means. And again, now in this context, right, we're targeting low of day, not targeting that 2R range. Okay, so now tick by tick pullback. So watching closely here. Close, within half a tick. Again, too fast. It's freaking hard setting up so many different orders. All right, so again, right, still watching here. 47.25 stop loss. This could be a 2-contract position. But let's wait. Give it the correct reaction. We've not missed out on anything here yet. All right, guys, I am in 237.25, 2 contracts. Not a great initial reaction. Big flush and then pull back pretty quick. still in this. Come on. Here we go. Good shape here, team. Good shape. Hopefully a few of you guys got that entry as well. So now we want to see it flush through 300, right? Nice work, Dwayne. So let's see if it can go here. And what I want to make sure I'm focusing on with this position is closing as my P&L is increasing, not decreasing, right? So 28 Cordell, not a good entry. Really bad entry, man, right? Because it ignores our risk management rules. So it's any entry above that 335 is good. Anything below is a very bad entry. Now within a tick or two, fine. But 328, I would say you should close that position because you don't have a positive expectation of actually making money on that. Right? We cannot abandon our risk reward requirements for the chance of being green. All right, guys, I'm out. Another one. Out at 31. So not a huge move by any means. 7 points. Or 6 points, sorry. Just keeps getting stuck at the lows here. Yeah, fair enough, Rusty. Fair enough. I mean, there's enough space here in between the high and low of these ranges to be able to play stuff. Yeah, but that's a reversal signal, not a breakdown signal. See how these 5-min candles behave. A breakdown under the range sets us up again. But yeah, Cordell, hope you close that position before that pullback. Remember, guys, the point of this fib tool is it visualizes our entry zone. Just because I say I'm in a position doesn't mean, right, that you need to chase something outside of this zone. If you do, and then when you get stopped out taking a 28-point loss when I took a 15-point loss, you're going to lose a lot more than me when you're wrong, right? And you're going to make a lot less when we're right. So that is a losing combo of information, and you can't do that to yourself. You cannot destroy your expectation of being profitable by chasing suboptimal risk-reward decisions. So that's one thing I simply just will not tolerate, because all it does is it hurts you. It doesn't make you any money long term. It gives you the hope of feeling as if you're going to make money, but it doesn't actually give you any realistic expectation of being green. Well, it's really binary, right? So there's nothing fancy or anything about this. It's, if I'm short, any entry above this green line is good. Any entry below this green line is bad. It's that binary, right? That's why we map out all of our risk reward zones. That's why we make all these decisions. It's why I talk about that formula for success in the course in so much detail. cannot be willing to ignore that just because I say I'm in a position. There's nothing to discuss there, right? It's simple. Either you're in that zone or you're not. If you're in that zone, you can pull the trigger. If you're not in that zone, you can't. And I set that up way before I ever say that I'm in a position, so it should not be a surprise. And just FYI, Cordell, your 101 is on Thursday the 31st. You don't have a meeting booked today. So not exactly a monster session here by any means. Up like 370-ish bucks. Yeah, not yet. I don't see a reversal candle here. So it's just another base hit day here so far. Maybe on this 10-minute can give us that reversal. It's going to be close on volume. We said we want to see it bounce off of 70. Bounced off of 69.96. Race car there. Nice work, Herschel. Sorry guys, I had a P&L misprint. P&L on the day, 467.37 so far. It's not bad, right? You got 5 accounts going. Cannot complain. Yeah, again, left a little bit of money on the table here. Maybe you gotten shaken out a couple times, right? Feels a little bit nasty. So 10-min CL, close but no cigar for that to be a reversal. Yeah, guys, there's no excuse, right, to have early entries outside of the entry zone. Literally no excuse. So that needs to be something that is rigid, right? We can't allow our greed to make us feel as if I can jump in earlier or jump in later and still make money. Literally, the math is then working against you, right? So every one of our decisions is based off of risk management first. Risk management, and then we use our risk reward to justify taking that risk. If we ignore that combo of information, good luck. You're not going to make money. You're going to make money in spurts where things go really well and you get mega follow through, but the vast majority of price action isn't like that. So we have to hold ourselves to a higher standard and not allow ourselves to become gamblers because we want to play with the crowd, right? So I map out those Fibonacci levels for everyone to see for that reason, so that you can understand and visualize your entry zone. And if you miss it, you miss it. Tough luck, right? But it is chasing trades that are outside of this zone that not only compound bad habits, but just make you lose money long term. Right? And it should be binary. Either I get an entry inside that area or I don't, right? And so what my objective here with what I do on the stream is to be fully transparent over what my process is, so that you're not waiting for me to say that I'm in, right? So that you're not waiting for me to say, okay, I'm pulling the trigger here, and then you jump in. Because at that point, if you're chasing me, then you're always going to be late and you're always going to struggle. So it's about taking the information that I'm providing and sharing and hopefully making as transparent as possible, and then making that your own and taking accountability for those entries and those opportunities, because that's ultimately what's going to make you successful, right? I'm not here to fish for you. I'm here to teach you how to fish for yourself. And there's a big difference there. Is that understood, team? Okay, so possible reversal setup here now to the upside, right? Just playing the range. So targeting of high a day. Again, little fake out lower. So let's see if this thing can establish some support here off of this like 330 area. We can look to see if we can scrapbook our way here into a nice day. So P&L wise here on the session, like I said, 467.37. So what I'm going to make sure, right, is that when I size, if I take another trade here, it's a little bit past my historical kill zone, but if I take another trade here, my risk is going to be like $400. So worst case scenario, going to finish up $67, right? Then I'm not going to feel like an idiot for giving away a green day in a choppy market. And I'm not just trading for a P&L sake here, right? I'm trying to trade a setup. I'm trying to trade a thesis. So if nothing works out the way that I want, okay, I don't mind walking away with a $2,500 day across accounts. There's worse scenarios, right? Okay, so let's see where this thing finds support. Again, a little fake out lower first. That came out weird. A little fake out lower first certainly doesn't kill our thesis. And we're looking for a high vol breakout over, or high enthusiasm breakout, I should say, over 335, right? And then a little pullback. Okay, that's not good. So setup is dead here to the upside. Okay, ES could be giving us that scenario here lower. Finally, a breakdown through low of day on increasing outlier volume. I think this might be the better play. So stop loss, right? 845.25. Again, no rush here yet. Kind of got rejected right at previous low of day. So that for me is a good indication. Right? Price got stuffed at that zone. All right, that's a good sign if you're a bear, right? Previous area of support turning into resistance, or previous area of resistance turning into support for the downside. Okay, and if it gives me the aggressive, then I could do something like this, right? With the stop loss of 42.75. Try to delete that red line. There we go. Let's see here again. So as is, right, this would be a 2-contract position. All right, guys, so I am in 842.75. Two contracts only. Come on. Let's see if this can break down here just a little bit. Okay, took the stop. Minus 275. I think that's my first losing trade all week. An annoying one to lose on. Yeah, relatively bouncy session. Might have one more in me here. Honestly, that's an answer for Google. You can Google that answer yourself. I'm not going to be your Google for you here right now. Not when I'm looking at a trade. Right? Find the broker that you're trading. Look at their tradable instruments. And look at how they define the forward contract. There's too many variables there for me to plug in and let you know. Okay, so stop loss have to be 43.50. Okay, it's not going to look for... Oh, that's too fast. Fast and slow. Interesting. Okay, so starting to look for an entry here. Slowly, wait for it tick by tick. Right, and anything under 47 is a good entry. Anything above, can't pull the trigger. So still watching here. Close, within a tick. This is some nasty, nasty PA. Broke out above that breakdown candle. So that's interesting. Can I do the aggressive here? Still no breakout above. So let's see if we can pull back still under this 47. Okay, now it won't. So you're looking for an entry or stop loss 47.75. Right, just be patient here again. Okay, see if it finds support here. Still no reason to pull the trigger here yet. Be patient. It's just been slow. Okay, a little bit better. Okay, now we want to see a little pullback here. A gentle pullback, right? Not an aggressive one. Gentle. Anything under 850, good. Anything above, bad. It's that simple. All right, so I'm in 58.49.75. Three contracts. Stop at 47.75. All right, see if it's got the juice here. See, this goes above 850. Come on, come on. I'm not going to go over that right now, Joe. I'm in the middle of a position, so bear with me. In a position that's a tick above my entry price, so I got to put my energy on this. Come on. NQ at 65. All right, guys, I'm out. But it's really simple. Your broker's gonna have a specific designation for how it defines contracts. So just Google it. Could do something like this here potentially. Ooh, I kind of got a nasty fill on that. $11.23. This will be my last attempt at something here, team. No, not yet. Okay, so watching NQ short. So stop loss 45 for now. Let's see if it can find resistance there and then break down. Again, we want to see elevator lower, then stairs up. Haven't seen that here yet. It's the same setup on the 5-min. So 47.25 stop loss. And we need to see it flush down through this candle low and then slow pullback. Okay, better. Okay, now we want to see a slow pullback into 35. Wasn't a slow pullback, was not a slow pullback. Okay, see if we can try again. I don't think crude's going to get there from a volume perspective either, Eric, to be honest. I don't think it will. Okay, so still watching. NQ here, now on the 5. Volume's right on the cusp of being acceptable. Now this is going to get no dice. don't think I can do that. Okay, so it's got a flush under, right, 340, then slow pull back into it again. We didn't see a slow pull back the first time. So 3 for 5 here on the day. Yes, might be shaking me out and now breaking down. Classic. Lower low, lower high. If this is a weak pullback here from bulls, that's okay. We're gonna wait for this candle to close. 13 seconds. Everything's set up here, right? This will be a one contract play. Stop loss at 354. So watching carefully here. All right, guys, I am in average price 23.41. Ooh, bad entry. So it's in my notes, right? Writing down bad entry on that trade. Not catastrophic, but not great. Again, if I'm green, if I'm correct, I should be green right away. So let's see. All right, breakdown from here. Let's see if we can go. Come on. So yeah, like a 50 or a 47, right? Should have been probably the spot. All right, let's see if this thing can break. Come on. Part of me that thinks I could close this and get a better entry price. All right, I'm going to close here. A little pullback if I can get it. Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. Ooh, still in, still in, still in. Maybe a little bit of hopium there. Still in, still in, still in, still in. All right, so if that means surviving worst case scenario, let's see if this thing can break down. Again, bad entry has made this a little bit more, we'll call it jump scary than it needs to be. So let's see if it can flush. Come on, make lower lows here and really push. Push, 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 push. Alright, screw it. I'm going to take the $100 win. So, trying to get out here in a sec, so if I can close on the flush. Alright, guys, and I am out at 329. Phil, 329.50. Busy day. So, that was a whole lot of do for nothing today. So total on the day, 280.76 per account. I'm not placing any more trades. This is disgusting. How's everyone feeling today? And the reason I'm stopping here, guys, right, is because that last trade, hated my entry, right? Hated my entry. So, started to feel jumpy, right? Maybe a bit anxious from that. And so what that is telling me, right, if I look at it objectively, is that I'm starting to get like mental capital drain, right? So instead of hoping I'm going to get bailed out and get lucky, I'll rather just take the little win. Should have taken the bigger win, but that's kind of just the way it's going here today. So very challenging last couple days trading, right? Very, very challenging range to deal with. So to walk away, 238 bucks, I'll take it. Probably should have been more, right? Couple trades we had, we were up like $600, didn't take it, then pulled back, right? This trade would have been up, 500 bucks, is what it is. Yeah, and it's been green every day this week here so far, Joe, so I won't complain too much. But frustrating day, I think. Challenging day. Frustrating because you can't seem to get any follow through on any of our trades. So it is what it is. So when... That's one more day in the green day calculation. All right, so let's call this range-bound trading here today. Thanks, Bert. Appreciate that, man. We're fighting here last couple days. This is a very, very challenging market this week. Any questions here, team? Any questions? So puts me to 135 wins on the year, 76 losses, win rate of 64% on about 211 trades taken. Yeah, fire away, Oz, fire away. Oh, I mean, yes, of course. Of course. If I can't watch the trade, close it, and just, hey, understand that, hey, nature calls sometimes. Alternatively, right, probably the only time I've done something different is placing my stop loss, protecting a win, and then just making sure, right, that it's a quick escapade, a thorough wipe, and hopefully no damage done. But yeah, either close it, or if you're in the green, right, place your stop loss at a spot where you're happy to let it go. But I would not recommend ever leaving like a naked trade out hanging, right? It's for lack of a better term, your pants and your P&L will be too streaky. Okay, feels a little bit silly to have let this trade go. But like I said, right, bad entry timing makes it hard, right? You tend to compound mistakes. So that bad entry timing for me, right, is a sign of basically feeling a bit burnt out, right? Feeling a bit of burnout in the markets on what has been a very, very challenging day. So happy to just take a little win, not the end of the world. And we'll move on. Any other questions here, team? Any other questions? Oh, of course. This is mean. All right, team. Final call for questions. Final call for questions. Nice, Joe. That's fantastic. That's a great career, right? To be working 90 minutes a day, right? 2 hours a day. It's pretty good bang for your buck. So I love that. I feel like a little bit like an idiot of missing this here now, but Is what it is. We knew we were going to get a resolution eventually. Just couldn't find the courage to hold on. And this is your entry pulling up here now. $280 would have been my target. But yeah, guys, I'm done. I'm not going to trade anymore here, right? No FOMO creation. It's been a good week. Oh, been a really good week. So far, 13K on the week, essentially. Not too shabby. I can do that all year long. Averaging 650 bucks a day this week. Not bad per account. We're not getting a tremendous amount to follow through, but we will at some point. We'll get a little bit of that action here eventually. So, final call here, team. Final call. All right, everyone. Well, if no further questions, then same deal like always. Feel free to hit me up outside of market hours, and I'll do my best to get back to you as soon as I can. Otherwise, have yourselves all a fantastic afternoon, and looking forward to catching up with a few of you here in our one-on-one calls starting in 9 minutes. So have yourselves a great rest of the day. Hopefully we can finish off the week with a bang here tomorrow, but a 10-day win streak is nothing to complain about. So see if we can keep stacking up those base hits. Those home runs will happen from a consistent, repeatable process. And we'll see if we can keep kind of finding a little bit of flow here in the market. But it's been a good 2 weeks here, team. So let's keep building up on this progress and keep finding that success that we deserve. Remember, everything that we want is on the other side of a couple good decisions, right? And it's obsessing over the quality of those decisions that ultimately creates for us that objective that we want. Chasing trades, chasing P&L, chasing entries does not get you there faster. It gets you there slower, even if it doesn't feel like that in the moment. So hope you guys all think about that here overnight, how you can make sure to make this your own. But in the short term here, team, have yourselves a great one, and we'll go hopefully come back tomorrow to finish off with lucky number 11. So talk to you guys all then, and we'll catch you up soon. Peace.